by a motion to grant or deny the relief requested. Alternatively, we can move to close the public hearing and place the matter on our decision calendar. Finally, we can hold the public hearing open to a future date. If the motion that you hear at the end of a case is a motion to grant, that means, at least in part, that the relief requested from this board has been granted. A grant letter will be issued from the Board of Appeals office within 7 to 10 business days. That is the document that you bring to the building department to continue with the permit process. Alternatively, if the motion that you hear at the end of the case is a motion to close the public hearing and place the matter on a decision calendar, that means that the hearing was held today and the record is now closed. Under the code, the board has 62 days to render a decision. Once that decision is rendered, the applicant will be notified directly. Those interested in viewing a copy of the decision can access it off the town's website under the town meetings link as soon as that decision is filed with the town clerk. Finally, if the motion that you hear at the end of the case is a motion to hold the public hearing open to a future date, that means that the applicant has not met all the conditions preceding to the relief requested, or more commonly, the board requires more information before we can decide the application. In this instance, the public hearing record is held open to the future date. On that future date, the required information is made part of the record and the matter is closed for decision. In the course of your presentation to the board, provide the board with any testimony you wish in support of the application for the board's consideration. If you are not the applicant here today, but someone wishing to speak on the application, please take the time to fill out a speaker card and deliver it to Mr. Anthony Vega, a member of our staff, sitting to the left of the well. If you've delivered a speaker card to Mr. Vega, we will call you up during the presentation that you have been interested in. Having said that, if you're the applicant here today, we acknowledge receipt of your notice documents which have been made part of the file on the record. When you hear your case called, please remain standing at the table to be sworn in. Provide your name and address upon being seated. Opposition testimony before this board will have the opportunity to provide the board with testimony and exhibits for the board's consideration. We ask only if there's more than one person or neighbor speaking on an application that you do not repeat what someone else said. Just indicate to us, please, that you agree with their point or testimony, and then move on to issues not yet covered by prior speakers. I thank you for your attention. Now please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon again, and again, welcome to the February 21st, 2024 session of the Board of Zoning Appeals. May we have a roll call, please?
Board members: Christopher Bricado.
Present.
Kevin Casey.
Present.
Charles Lazaru.
Present.
Ronald Lindsay.
Present.
Deputy Chairman Rick Cunha.
Present.
Chairman Howard Bergson.
Present. From the 2 o'clock calendar, interval calendar specifically, but I think we'll do all of them. Yeah, we'll do any adjournment, any case that is subject to an adjournment, whether it's in the 2 o'clock or the 4 o'clock calendar, will be called at this time for that purpose.
So from the 2 o'clock calendar, cases 8 through 11 in the name of Jose Carlos Somoz, requesting March 13th. From the 4 o'clock calendar, case number 23, Wengyu Chen, requesting March 13th. Case number 29, Jason and Kimberly Roth. Case number 38, Catherine Klein. From the holdover calendar, cases 10 through 13 of November 29th, 2023. Cases number 22 of January 24th, 2024. Amina Mohammed. Case number 27 of February 7th, 2024, Peter Sparks Jr. and Rachel Snyder. And lastly, cases 39 and 40 of January 24th, 2024, with the name of Brett Gibbons and Laura Lucas, all requesting March 13th.
Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cunha, second by Mr. Casey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anyone here on any of those cases that were called?
Mr. Chairman.
Could you step up, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not being adjourned. Okay. Commence the call of the calendar.
Cases number 1 and 2 in the name of Islamic Center of Massac Shirley, Inc., 503 William Floyd Parkway in Shirley. Property is located northwest corner, Tudor Road, William Floyd Parkway in Shirley. Applicant requests the following relief for proposed house of worship. Rear yard variance, 60 feet required, 25 feet proposed. Height variance for a 6-foot high fence located in the front yard on Tudor Road. Also requesting permission for proposed 30-square-foot wall sign on front elevation, 20 square feet is permitted. Height variance for proposed 15-foot high detached ground sign, 9 feet high permitted. Also permission for said detached sign to be located less than the required 22 feet from William Floyd Parkway, requesting 5 feet.
Okay. Mr. Davis, your appearance for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Larry Davis, 175 Oak Street, Patchogue, New York, for the applicant. Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Reed has prepared a report on this matter.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I recuse.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Queenie is recused. Mr. Reed, you want in, please?
I do. Property is located at, the applicant seeks area variances and sign variance for proposed 13,118 square foot place of worship. Property is located on the northwest corner of Tudor Road and William Floyd Parkway in the hamlet of Shirley. The property is zoned A1 residence. Places of worship are permitted within the A1 residence district. With regard to building size, a maximum 1,500 square foot building is permitted, along with a maximum 15% floor area ratio to which the application complies. With regard to parking, while the proposal requires a 30-stall relaxation, same will be addressed at the time of site plan review. And with regard to the relief for rear yard and fencing, it is noted that the parcel has 2 front yards, both at Tudor Road and William Floyd Parkway, with the latter being the primary front yard. And as such, a 25-foot rear yard is proposed, although from an aesthetic perspective, entrances are provided on both the north and south elevation, and this would appear to be a side yard meeting 25-foot requirement. In order to help screen the place of worship, the board may find a 6-foot fence in the front yard to be appropriate for the benefit of the homeowners on Heston Road. With regard to the relief for the ground sign setback, due to the width of the landscape median in the front yard, there do not appear to be feasible alternatives for the applicant to pursue other than the requested relief. However, with a potential 10-foot setback and no grades or bends with the county road at the location of the proposed place of worship, a conforming 9-foot high ground sign is expected to reasonably communicate the place of worship. It is also noted that the wall sign is 10 square feet over code requirement, with staff opining to not to be a substantial request on a building size of 13,118 square feet. In addition to the relief before the Board of Appeals, site plan approval is also required by the Planning Board or Town Board.
That is Mr. Reed's report. Mr. Reed, I believe you misspoke on, I believe the authorized size of the building under the zoning is 15,000. I think you said 1,500 by mistake.
15,000 is the correct number.
Okay. Mr. Davis, that is the report of our planner. This is a permitted use within the A zoning, residential zoning. So what would you like to tell us with respect to the application and Mr. Reed's report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In just reviewing Mr. Reed's report, I want to thank him for a very detailed report on the issues at hand. It seems that I would say the hardest of the variances would be the setback. As Mr. Reed did incline to say, it acts more as a side yard than it does a rear yard because the fact that this is a corner. The code used to have a double side yard and not a rear yard on corner properties. So we are now faced with a change of the code that created a rear yard on corner properties. A 60-foot is
Excuse me, Mr.
impossible
Davis?
to achieve.
I apologize. Over here on the right side, we can't really hear you that good. It's very hollowed out. I don't know why. I apologize. Can you speak up a little bit?
Sure, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Mr.
No, it's
Lindsay.
not your fault. I don't know. Thank you.
Okay.
Very hollowed out over here. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Can you, Mr. Lindsay, can you hear me now or not? Yeah, I'm happy to. I just don't want to yell. Okay. So as I was explaining, the prior code before it was changed on a corner property would have a front yard setback, a double front yard setback, and a double side yard setback. The code changed now where you have 2 front yards, a side yard, and a rear yard. And I think Mr. Reed would agree that a rear yard is almost impossible to achieve on a lot that's not that deep. So we are here asking for relief from that rear yard. We're asking for 25 feet. In support of this application, I supplied Ms. Wright and the office with letters of support from 3 of the neighbors that are impacted the most by this property, and their addresses would be 73A Heston, 75 Heston, and 77 Heston. Those are the properties that the building backs directly up against, and they have sent those letters in support. And in thinking about it, I would probably agree with them, because what it does, you have William Floyd Parkway not more than 100 and some feet away. This will act as a further buffer for sound noise from William Floyd Parkway for those people. There's nothing beyond the building to the end of the property line but a buffer area, 25-foot buffer area, where there'll be screenings and a fence. So the impact of having a 25-foot rear yard, as it is shown and as it is advertised, is really not that much of a rear yard at all. But it does satisfy what the neighbors are going to be affected by having the building there. In addition, as Mr. Reed pointed out, the fencing that we're asking for is probably appropriate due to the fact that we are on a corner and we do need to have some fencing, and it'll be aesthetic as well as protective for the property. The sign variances, the wall sign is minimal, as he indicated. We're only asking for a small variance of some additional square footage. And the pylon sign, or the street sign, we're asking for relief on is 9 is permitted. We asked for 15. In talking to my client, we can relax that somewhat. We would be willing to discuss relaxing that, the height of what was proposed originally. Right now, I know there's some speakers here. If the board has questions, I'd like to address those questions first before we get to any speakers.
So, yes, I have some questions. The neighbors, the letters from, you said you had letters from neighbors?
Correct.
Okay, and are those, which lots are those?
Those are lots, there's 2 73s. It would be the 73 to the north, number 75, and number 77. And the building is going to be situated right where those 2 lots are split, the 2 smaller lots. The larger lot would be more of a parking area and a landscaped area.
So the building would be closer to the 2 lots that are labeled 73?
Yes, those 3 lots is where the building would be up against.
The 2 73s and the 75, is that?
No, the lower 73 is parking. The northerly 73 is more or less parking, but 75 and 77 is where the building is pretty much going to be located.
And the letters that you have are from, once again, so it's clear to me?
They are from those owners that are in
77,
support.
75, and the northern 73.
That's correct.
Okay, and do we have those letters specifically? Can we just have them? Excuse me, did you give a card into? Okay, well, you'll have a chance to clarify anything that you would like to at this point, when your name is called. Okay, so there's a letter dated February 18th from Thomas Petrano. Which doesn't specifically identify his address, because it comes in the St. Joseph University stationery.
That's just a letter in support, Mr. Chairman.
Then there's a second letter from the Chamber, which we're going to read in a minute. There's a letter dated February 18th from Brenda Agnes, well, not even close, Agnes Zacca and Joseph Martinelli. We have received notice of the public hearing for a site plan as Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley located at 510 William Floyd Parkway. We have no objection to the proposed site design and strongly support the approve this application, this project. Islamic Center is a very valuable establishment for this area. We request that you approve the variances so the project can be can be progressed as proposed. Another letter from Eric and Christine Bruno. I'm the owner of the house behind the Islamic Center and have reviewed the site plan of the Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley located at 510 William Floyd Parkway, Shirley. I'm adjacent owner. I have no objection to the proposed site plan design and support the project fully and request you to approve the variances requested. And finally, there's a letter from Marilyn Mercer. We received your letter of hearing of Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley, 510 William Floyd Parkway, Shirley. We support the Islamic Center fully, have no objection to the proposed site design project. We request you approve the variances so the project can be built. We thank you for your help in this matter. All right, Jerry, you want to read the letter from St. Joseph's and the Chamber?
Sure, the letter from St. Joseph's, University of New York, is penned by Thomas Petriano. I received the notice of the public hearing for the site plan for the site of Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley. I would like to voice my support for this project and proposed site design. I have had many contacts with the Islamic Center. On numerous occasions, students at St. Joseph have been welcomed to the mosque where they have learned much about Islam. The mosque is an important part of our community, and I support the approval of the required variances. And from the Chamber of Commerce of the Mastics in Shirley, recently the members of the Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley attended our Chamber of Commerce meeting to explain their plans for a new building. They spent time answering questions. One concern was traffic exiting onto William Floyd Parkway, which is such a heavily trafficked road. They explained that another exit will be built so that some traffic can avoid exiting onto William Floyd. With that concern addressed, our membership voted, and we are in favor of this project.
All right, those letters are now made part of the record. Mr. Davis, there has been some thought with respect to the sign. What is the need for a sign on the pole as opposed to a monument sign? Although there's no formal requirement for a monument sign under the code, has your applicant and client considered that?
I don't believe that has been considered, but in my speaking with them, they have agreed to going with a 9-foot height, therefore no variance would be required, and if we can amend that application to remove that variance, that would be fine.
All right, so is that a request that we amend the application at this time?
Yes, that is.
Can I get a motion to amend the application to remove the variance request for the 15-foot sign adjacent to William Floyd? Now, that's with respect to the height of the sign, not the location, correct?
Excuse me?
That's with respect to the height of the sign, not the location.
That's correct.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Lindsay, second by Mr. Casey. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so now the fencing that you propose, the 6-foot fencing, is adjacent to what street? Is that, let's see.
The 6-foot would be adjacent to Tudor. There is a 4-foot wrought iron fence that is proposed around the rest of the William Floyd Parkway and the rest of the site.
And what type of fencing would the 6-foot fencing be?
Well, the one along the neighbors has already been installed. It's a white vinyl fence that's 6 foot high. The rest of the fencing that's around the site would be the wrought iron type and slab fencing.
So first of all, the sign in the fencing in the back is the neighbor's fencing or the applicant's fencing?
The applicant put up a fence
Okay,
to
so
buffer
that's
the neighbors.
And-
While we go through, they've also planted a row of arborvitaes along that fence. to,
Right, and there's also a landscaping plan as part of this, is that correct?
That's correct. That was submitted to planning some time back and will be addressed at the either planning board or town board meeting, depending on which way we go.
Or what exists at the time?
Well, if there is a planning board, I should say.
Right. So the fencing that will be along Tudor would be the only 6-foot fence that you're here for, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that would be vinyl as well, is that what you're saying? Or is that going to be the metal fencing just 6 foot high?
The runs along Tudor would be the metal fencing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you've said the plans that you've submitted have indicate the type of fence, and it's sort of like a wrought iron type of relatively attractive metal fencing, is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Now talk about the location of the fence, of the sign that now reduced to 9 feet in height. Where's that going to go?
It's going to be right off of William Floyd Parkway in the northeasterly corner of the site itself. As Mr. Reed indicated, there's really not another practical place to put it, just due to the landscaping and just the configuration of the parcel the way it is, and with the parking lot, we need that relief. It just doesn't work. I think he said we don't have a feasible alternative in his report, is I think the way he described it.
Okay. Now, we have, Professor, are there any questions from the board? We have many people here who want to speak on the application. Do you know how many of the people that are here who filed the card are in support of the application?
I don't, Mr. Chairman, not off the top of my head. I could not tell you. If you would like to limit, I can have a couple of representatives from the Islamic Center, mostly the trustees or the officers, I think would love to be able to speak on this matter, and we can limit it to those people.
Okay, so why don't we start with that?
Okay,
At
that's
this
fine.
point, do you know their names? Because I'm not going to be able to
We'll
identify
start
which
with
of the
Madad
officers.
Islam, and then Madad can bring up one or two others that he would like to speak on behalf of them.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so- Okay, sir, could you state your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Madad Islam. I live in 36 Tipton Drive West, Shirley, New York, 11967.
Okay, and what is your capacity with the applicant?
I am the Board of Trustees of Islamic Center of Massac Shirley.
You're a member of the board?
Correct.
Okay, so what would you like to tell us about the application?
I wrote a small letter that I would like to read. Dear Mr. Chairman, I am writing to you on behalf of the Muslim community in Shirley regarding our application to the Zoning Board for the construction of our new community center. It is with great enthusiasm and hope that we present this proposal for your consideration. Our community has been an integral part of Shirley for many years, contributing to its cultural diversity, social fabric, and economic growth. As our population has grown, so too has the need for a dedicated space where members can gather for worship, educational programs, social activities, and community outreach initiatives. As you may be aware, there has been a mosque serving Muslims from surrounding communities since 2002 in the Shirley community, providing essential services such as prayer services, religious education, and community outreach initiatives. Our current location at 503 William Floyd Parkway has served us well, but due to capacity constraints, we have sought to expand our facilities to better serve the needs of our growing community. With the generous support of the community, we have acquired a 2-acre lot at 510 William Floyd Parkway, where we plan to build our new center. The proposed center will not only provide additional space for prayer and educational activities, but also serve as a hub for community engagement and outreach programs. We envision it as a space where people of all backgrounds come together to learn, connect, and support one another. In our efforts to be good neighbors, we have reached out to the surrounding community and have received letters of support from many residents who welcome the construction of the new center. We have also taken proactive measures such as planting Green Giant's abrevieties and worked with contractors to get fencing installed for those that do not have PVC fencing to address any concerns about privacy and aesthetics. Additionally, we have proposed the construction of a basketball court on site, which will be open to the local community, further contributing to the well-being and recreational opportunities for all residents. As a community, we have always been committed to serving the needs of our neighbors and contributing positively to the broader community. We believe that the construction of our new community center will not only benefit our members, but also enrich the cultural and social fabric of Shirley as a whole. We understand and respect the importance of adhering to zoning regulations and ensuring that any new constructions align with the interests and needs of the local community. With this in mind, our legal and engineering team has carefully designed the plans for the new center to be in full compliance as much as possible with the requirements in mind to minimize any potential impact on the surrounding area. We respectfully request that the Zoning Board of the Town of Brookhaven grant us the variances we are seeking so that we may proceed with this important project. We are confident with your support we can continue to build a stronger, more inclusive community for all. Thank you for considering our application. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach us. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions from the board? Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. Davis?
Yes, I would like to, we have one more member from our community,
Okay.
A child from high school. He graduated from our local high school. He would want to say a couple of words.
Okay, and his name?
Abdullah Saad.
Okay, is he here? Can you step up?
Yes.
All right.
There's one.
So, sir, could you stand and be sworn in, and then state your full name and address?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Abdullah Saad. I'm currently living 142 River Road, Shirley, New York, 11967.
Okay, so what would you like to tell us, sir?
Yes, so I wrote a little speech I would like to tell you guys. Here we go. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for this opportunity, Your Honor. I feel very grateful and honored to be able to speak about my love for our local mosque and how it has always been there for me and our community. And
I'm sorry, just give us a second. We're having technical difficulties here.
Yeah, I'll do this. You're beeping at me.
Okay. So what did you say your address was?
142 River Road, Shirley, New York 11967.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's try again. So, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Your Honor. I feel very grateful and honored to be able to speak about my love for our local mosque and how it has always been there for our community and for our youth for the last 20 years of my life. I'm currently a second-year student at Stony Brook University and a teacher for our local mosque Quran class. Regardless of our current mosque just being a small house-shaped structure with limited space, it always feels like a wonderland for our youth and children when we enter. From having congregational prayers together in Ramadan or getting together to raise money for natural disaster victims or do a coat drive to offer coats and jackets for those in need throughout our community. The mosque has always been a place for the youth to get together and hang out instead of being with the wrong crowd or doing what we're not supposed to. The mosque has served as a symbol of unity and coming togetherness, as just this Ramadan, my college friends and I came together of all different backgrounds and helped fundraise over $10,000 to help innovate and build our mosque through a bake sale, which we baked together. Our mosque has already done amazing things for our community, and I know with the new structure with the recreational add-ons such as a basketball court, this would allow much more unity and community activities than before. Just last month, I visited a grand mosque in a different county, and I was starstruck when I entered. I had never seen so many young boys and girls my age coming together at a mosque and holding group basketball games, college application workshops, and interfaith events. This made me very hopeful and excited that in the new mosque property we are trying to create, I see all my little cousins, nieces, nephews, and community coming together as a whole and spending their free time in the mosque, doing activities such as playing basketball, working out, studying for exams, and getting closer to their faith. We are asking you that you help make these dreams a reality for our community and our youth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Any questions from the board? There being none, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, we have one more speaker, James Pauls. He's the imam of the mosque. So.
I do.
Now, Mr. Poulos, please give your full name and address, please.
I'm sorry?
Full name and address.
James Abdulatif Poulos, 30 George Drive, Mastic, New York, 11950.
And your capacity with the applicant.
I'm sorry.
Your capacity.
Oh, I serve as the vice president. I'm also one of the trustee members, and also as the imam.
Okay, so what would you like to tell us with respect to this matter?
I'm not able to hear.
What would you like to tell them regarding the application?
Oh, I also prepared a little something, if I may read it. Like I said, I serve as the imam, or one of the imams at the mosque, and I also serve as an imam in the Suffolk County Correctional Facilities, working under Sheriff Tuan. I've been fortunate enough to oversee the growth and development of the mosque, the Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley, as I am one of the founders since 2002. I've seen the the community grow from about just 40 members to more than 200. Many of these members coming from various other countries in Asia and Africa, as well as Americans such as myself. Many of these individuals also serve as the doctors, engineers, businessmen, and teachers serving the Mastic Shirley community. So as you can imagine, I am here to give my full support for this project, but I also want to say I do support the concerns of the neighbors and the community at large. I believe that some of these concerns will be, hopefully all of them will be addressed today and solved. And but I do want to say that I also believe that these concerns that people will have in the community will continue long after this meeting, that there are always concerns in the community, not only among our neighbors, the immediate neighbors, but just in the community at large. And I would like for the mosque to not just serve people's, as a place for people's worship, but as a community center that can be actively involved in helping to solve many of the problems that exist in the community as well. And I believe that that will not only be the people that are here today, But even 100 years from now, when those of us here are gone and the mosque is still standing, that we hope that the mosque will continue to serve in that capacity, sharing the concerns of the people of the Mastic-Shirley area. So I appreciate you giving me the time to share this with you, and thank you.
Thank you for that. I just point out that this board's responsibility and authority is limited to this application. This is, again, as was said in Mr. Reed's report, as Mr. Davis reiterated, this is a permitted use in the area and from a zoning point of view. What we're here for, what this board is authorized to do is to hear the applicant's request for the variances that Mr. Reed spoke about and Mr. Davis spoke about.
I understand that. I understand.
No, I know you do. I'm just want to make the record clear. Thank you for that. Now, Mr. Davis, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Davis, I have about 9 cards that, well, actually, I have about 13 cards. I assume some of these people, some of the cards are here in opposition to this application or a portion thereof. So if you could, do you have a survey that you could leave on the table?
I have a site plan.
Site plan.
The entirety right here.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with Kevin and Susan Fox, and I'm making some assumptions here. Are there people here who would like to speak in opposition to this matter? Okay. Does that include Kevin and Susan Fox? Good, then step up, please. Okay, and Eric Bruno? You raise your hand too, so step up, sir. And I have 3 more, but we try to take 4 at a time. Nancy Slane, is that?
Yes.
Is that a S-L-A-N-E? Yeah. Okay, why don't you step up as well? And I have a couple of more. And anyone else who is in opposition, once these 4 are done, we'll call you up as well. So why don't the 4 of you give your attention to the reporter and be sworn in, and then sit down, and then we'll start with, I guess it's Mr. Fox on the left, on my left, your right, and give your full name and address. So be sworn in now, please. Wasn't one of those. Okay, thank you. So why don't, yeah, so you have the seat 1, 2, 3, 4. And no? All right, Mr. Fox.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you start, and we'll go across, and then we'll let you start with your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Full name and address, please.
Kevin Fox, 73 Heston Road, Shirley, New York, 11967.
Okay. Mrs. Fox?
Yes. Suzanne Fox, 73 Heston Road, Shirley.
Okay, and Nancy Slane.
Nancy Slane, 71 Heston Road, the corner of Heston and Tudor.
And sir?
Eric Bruno, 75 Heston Road in Shirley.
Okay, so Mr. Fox, why don't you start at this point? What would you like to tell us about?
By the survey and the size of the property, the building, to me, it's too small for this place to be erected. The building holds legally 197 people. One of the gentlemen said they have over 200 and something members. Right now, they can't all fit in there legally. The property, the parking, there's, I forget, 120 spaces. So 2 people per car, that's 240 people. They want to put parking down the side street of Tudor. That's not the right place to put cars. That's her side of her house. There's kids across the street there that play in the road. That's not right. So I think something else has to be done about this.
Okay, well, Mr. Fox, let me address, or at least answer, provide some information with respect to your concern about parking. This board is not here to hear about the parking at this point, okay? That's going to be the parking. We have a limited responsibility here, as I indicated, and it relates to the actual application that has been presented here. And that is the sign, the rear yard,
Right. The sign's fine.
and the fencing. The issue of the parking is something that would be of the concern of the planning board or the town board acting as the planning board, which is a change that is in progress right now in terms of the elimination of the planning board and the assignment of those responsibilities to the town board. But that's just mechanics. The parking issue is for someone else, a different board. Our responsibility here is the sign, the rear yard, and as Mr. Reed indicated, the zoning that exists now, the 15, that allows a building on this size lot of 15,000 square feet, and this is 13 and change.
Okay.
So again, we are not here, and we have no authority to make a decision based upon the size of this building, the proposed building. It's within the zoning. It's not part of the application that's with us. The parking issue is something that needs to be dealt with and will be dealt with by the appropriate board, whether that's the planning board at the time or, as it may turn out to be, the town board itself.
However, the paperwork we got in the mail says about parking. That's why we're all here, parking, and where is it? That's something else, the ground, variance. Oh, maybe you're right. I think you're right, I'm sorry. Okay, my wife's turn.
I don't hear that very often, so thank you for that.
Okay.
Mrs. Fox.
Hi, I'm only concerned, my property, or the building abuts our property, which we're right in the back at 73. I'm more concerned about the setback.
The setback in the back, the rear yard?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as it being 25 feet instead of 60? Is that the setback from William Floyd to the back of our fences?
That's from the building to your property line on the rear yard.
Right,
Now,
which means it's closer towards our homes.
Right, so that's part of the concern that's here.
And that's part of mine.
And I think the applicant is trying to deal with that concern by the proposed plantings and the fencing. Well, I'm just telling you what I believe, and I'm sure that that they be open to further discussion about it with you. The concern is that the width of the property itself, and so whether or not a 25-foot or a slightly larger distance would satisfy you or satisfy your concerns, I can't answer that question. But their request is for the 25 feet. In terms of screening and blockage, I think that's something that will be part of the planting plan, the vegetation plan, the landscaping plan. But I hear your concern. I mean, it's going to be a big building, and the property line is 25 feet. If that's what it is, it's going to be large. And your house is, what, 25, 30 feet off of that property line?
No, I'm right on the edge. I mean, where our property is at the edge. There's the only fences in the back line of their property is all our neighbor fences. There's no additional fencing. And the trees are only this high. They're not any, they planted some, I guess you'd want to call them 4 feet, but they're really
Well, there's going to, I'm not familiar with the actual planting that's there now, but there's going to be more plantings. The size of it and the scope of it, I can't.
Are they required to put more fencing and plantings?
They will be required as part of the site plan review, again, by either the planning board or by the town board, depending on where that stands at the moment that the application is made. And again, your house is 71?
73.
73, and you're saying there's no fencing between your house and the property?
It's our fence.
The white vinyl fence?
No, we have chain link.
Okay, so you're saying that the white vinyl fence that they put up, you can turn that off. The white vinyl fence that they put up doesn't extend all the way down to your property?
Doesn't exist.
There is no vinyl fence.
There is no fence.
It's our fences.
It's our fence.
The white vinyl fence is all your fencing?
No,
Oh, he has a vinyl. You don't have a fence.
I don't have a fence.
And I have a fence.
I can see William Floyd from my house.
Okay, well, do we have a picture? We have a picture. So there's some confusion here, because I saw a picture with extensive, and I can't tell you exactly which lot, but an extensive
I have
white...
pictures.
Yeah,
Wait a second.
I know what it is. It's 75 and
One,
77.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to one at a time. Anthony? Okay. '73. You don't have it? Do you have the pictures there, Chris? I'm sorry. There's some confusion, because I did see extensive white vinyl, and it looked more like it was more than one property.
Oh, yeah, it's two properties, but we paid to put those fences up.
Okay, so it's two properties. It's yours and whose else?
77.
Okay, so it's just I guess that's the southern, no, the northern, no, it would be the northern portion, correct?
73A also has their own vinyl fence.
All right, so the final fencing is extensive, but you're saying it belongs to the neighbors?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But there's
not all
no,
the neighbors.
there's no down through 871,
There's nothing.
there's nothing there?
There's no
Okay,
fence, no
all right, all right. Well, something like that can be, I'm sure, easily addressed. But we hear your concern, and we're going to give the applicant, after we hear a few other from the neighbors, a few other neighbors, a chance to respond to that. And also, you'll have a chance to speak with them after the formal nature of this, the formal part of this hearing. Okay, now, I'm sorry, we're not done. Mr. Bruno.
Okay, yeah, so my opposition is only to the reduction of the buffer from 60 feet to 25, so there can be something we can do there, that'll be good.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for coming out. We have a few more speakers. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. We're good.
Thank you.
There were, let's see, Cherno Jane? Jane? Okay, who else is here? Are you here in support of the application?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, just have a seat then, because, I'm sorry, here they are. Oh, those are these, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is anyone else here in opposition to the application? Step up, ma'am. And your name?
Clarissa Cazzo. I'm here on behalf of my father, Anthony, who lives on Heston Road and has done so for 57 years.
Okay, could you give your attention to Reporter and be sworn in. Okay, so you're here for your father?
Yes.
And where does he live?
He lives on 82 Heston Road, which is across from 81.
Oops.
You see it there. He can see William Floyd Parkway and everything from his home. So the structure will be seen from his home as well. But I'm also here in support of my neighbors and my friends that I grew up with, and I'm in opposition since now that the sign variance has been dropped to the 9 feet instead of the 15 feet they were requesting. I don't have an issue other than maybe it should be the 22 feet from William Floyd as the town requested. So it's some kind of semblance.
I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to have to pull the microphone closer.
Closer? Usually I
And
have a
speak a
big
little bit
mouth.
clearer.
I'm here in opposition of the 25 feet that they're requesting. From 60 feet to 25 feet is totally, it's absurd. It's mind-blowing. All my neighbors are going to be greatly affected by that. Since we can't speak of anything else, I'm assuming that there's going to be other hearings on this matter, whether planning or the town. But I don't understand, or I'm not sure, when Mr. Davis was saying that he's saying now that there's 2 side yards because the one lot is now Tudor, but there's also the other 2, it's basically 4 lots. They're 4 separate residential lots. So now it looks like he's trying to get the corner lot on William Floyd and Tudor to act as the main lot so they can get that 25-foot side yard variance. Is that what I'm understanding?
They have, you mean Mr. Davis's argument that it really should be considered a side yard? Is that what you're suggesting?
that's
Well,
what I'm
we're
trying to
not considering it a side yard, we're considering it the rear yard, and it's got to be based upon that.
Okay.
That analysis. Whatever we do, it's not because there's another side yard.
Okay.
It'd be because we have a rear yard that is, the request is significant and may not be able to be mitigated.
Which then would be, I understand, that's really the only opposition I had, was that 60-foot town setback to the 25. That's a 68% relaxation of the town's code. Normally, I've seen before this board and other boards that if something is not conducive to what is within the town requirement, the town requests that they go back and reconfigure so it fits on the property.
And that does happen, but there are times that variances are granted to accommodate because of the shape of the property or the depth of the property and the nature of the project, that variances are granted. However this works out, there are different ways of looking at it.
We all understand that, and it's not that we're in opposition of this center being there. It's a question as to, they didn't do their due diligence in finding a parcel of property to house the size that they're looking for. And the parking issue, we'll have to discuss when we're able to at another time. It's just, I don't feel that they did enough homework in looking at what it is that they're trying to build, 110 by 100 or whatever it was that I saw. And, and requesting 25 feet as opposed to 60 is just egregious, and that's all I really have to say. They're on their Facebook page, they made mention that, this center will now fit their expansion of their footprint and accommodation of their growing community. What about the long-time standing residents that have been there for 50 years, 40 years, and 35 years? their lives shouldn't have to be impacted because now they want a 25-foot setback, which is basically in their backyards. They have a right to enjoy their home that they work hard for.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, excuse me. Are there any questions from the board? Thank you for coming out. Mr. Davis? Just to be clear, is there anyone else here wanting to speak in opposition to this application? All right, Mr. Davis, before you respond, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 additional cards, and those, we're going to presume that those people are here in support, and you're waiving their actual testimony. We just would note that this number of people came out in support of the application from various locations in the area in Charlotte.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, in response to the residents, I brought up Mr. Tahir Qureshi. He is the engineer that designed this site plan, and I think he can address the setback issues much better than I can. So.
Okay. Sir, do you want to give your attention to the reporter and be sworn in, please?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you state your full name, your address, and...
My name is Tahir Qureshi, address 27 Casey Lane, Mount Sinai, New York 11766.
Okay, and you are a architect?
I'm a licensed engineer.
Licensed engineer. So what would you like to tell us about the site plan? And I guess I think you should focus on the issue raised by the neighbors with respect to the setback, the rear yard setback.
Yes, sir. I would like to focus only on those issues. The setback, which is the rear setback of 25 feet, as you and some other speakers have mentioned, and we understand that the depth of the property is very limited. So if we provide the required front yard setback and the rear yard setback, literally there is nothing left to build. So being practically, we have to kind of consider what can be achieved with this property, which is not very deep. The town requires a buffer zone for residential use properties which are adjacent to this type of use. So we are providing the town required 25 feet of buffer zone. Even if there was a way to move the building to the front and provide 60 feet, we would still be able to use that area for something else. So if we are, the proposed plan right now is providing a two-way driveway in front and a fire lane, and then the building and the buffer zone. So let's, for reason of discussion, we say let's move the building to the front and provide 60 feet. Okay, so if we move the building to the front, then that means the fire lane and two-way driveway has to be moved back. So which way is better? The building with completely blank wall in the back with no windows, with no noise or any sound coming out, or the fire lane and two-way driveway for traffic to move from one side of parking to the other. So when we went through the design, we assumed that it would be better to have the building at the buffer zone 25 feet limits. So there is almost minimal disturbance to the neighbors compared to if we bring the fire lane and two-way driveway in the back. So that was one of the reasons for putting the building in the back and driveway and fire lane in the front. And then the buffer zone itself would provide what the town requires. The screening plants, the 6-foot fence, and that will suffice what the requirements are.
As I recall the site plan, there's parking in front of the building. Okay. There seems to be, and whether or not this board will think it's sufficient or not, there seems to be some additional space in the front that could be used to further distance the building from the rear yard. Had you considered eliminating the parking that's in the front of the building itself?
The issue is if we eliminate something in the front and move it back of the building, it will be more noisy in the back, and neighbors' houses will be closer to that noise compared to the dead wall of the wall. So that's the reason which we did not,
No, but there are parking spaces right in front of the building, parallel parking spaces. I'll use that term because they run parallel to William Floyd.
Yes.
And I know parking is going to be an issue and it's going to have to be made up someplace, but if this board were to consider this application at less than 60 feet, there surely should be some way that the applicant could generate some additional distance between the building and the houses themselves.
Okay, so the option we have is we move everything which is in the front to the back to increase the distance between the property line and the building. So which way is better? That's,
Well, I'm not saying move. You have two lanes that in the front of the building.
Right.
Okay, but even if those lanes remained, even if both those lanes remain, there's still parking there while parking may be necessary, but the location of it creates an additional burden on the families and the homeowners to the rear. And again, I'm just chatting with you about these alternatives. I'm not saying that this is happening one way or the other.
We did go through pretty much every which way in design of this thing. The parking, what you are saying, the parallel parking in the front, because of the layout of, how the traffic is going to move, those are usable. If we remove and think that we can put it in the back, that would not work. So it will be eliminating parking, which we are kind of in need of more, not less.
Mr. Chair. One second. So you're saying that removal of the spots across, I'm not talking about the total reduction of the parking, I'm talking about removal of the spots in the very front of the building itself creates, and the movement of that building closer to William Floyd is something you can't do? I'm not even exploring yet, excuse me, the two lanes that are in front of the building and whether or not that can be somehow reconfigured as well.
So as I said, the parallel parking in the front, the 6 spaces, any movement in the building or shifting towards William Floyd Parkway would eliminate those. And we would not be able to gain that in the back. So that will be reduction.
That would be
And that will gain only about 9 feet.
Well, that's 9 feet is now 35 feet, almost 35 feet as opposed to 25 feet.
I completely understand. But then we have to see, if...
Well, then you have a problem with the parking, I understand.
Yep.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Casey.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To the engineer, if you were to reduce the rear footage to the property line of the neighbors and extended the building, I guess that's south to Tudor, where you have all that extra, the parking, I'm looking at the drawing to the left, and then you put parking in the driveway where the back neighbors are and continued it, wouldn't that make more sense? Know what I'm saying? Because you have a long piece of property here, so why wouldn't you just shrink the footage of the building and extend it down to Tudor?
Yes,
and extend your parking on the backside of the building all the way through, so you actually have a full driveway through the entire footprint of the property. To me, this makes more sense to me.
I completely understand, and
know what I'm saying?
we have looked at that way.
You would have more flow of when everybody is going to services to get in and out, you're going around the building. If you pushed it, made the building narrower but longer down towards Tudor.
One of the things which we are trying to achieve is provide a gym inside for basketball type,
Oh, there's a gym, so that's...
a narrow building would create issues. And then second thing is the narrow building would be not a very good, it's not going to be very efficient in the use of space. It's going to waste a lot of space. So that's why we're trying to keep a simple square type of building.
Yeah, I'm just saying, make it more, instead of square, a little more rectangle
additional thing
to
is
fit the property.
We did try some other layouts, and the layout which we presented and proposed, that's the one which gives maximum number of parking. So any changes reduces the number of parking provided.
I mean, what you're giving up on the parking towards Tudor, you would make up on the backside of the building. If you made that a full circle driveway around the building, you're picking up those spaces. I'm just looking at you, I guess these are your drawings, correct?
If we provide single stall lane in the back with 24 feet two-way driveway, that's going to take about 44 feet. So reducing the building 44 feet, that cuts the building about in half.
Well, maybe you don't have to do it 44 feet, but somewhere maybe in the middle, from the 60 to 25, just to, for the concerns of the neighbors.
Yeah, the second option is we provide one-way driveway with single, parking stalls. Even that would require about 32, 33 feet. For a single lane going through and parking, reversing, and then getting out.
Anything else, Mr. Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Anything further from the board?
I would like to address a couple of other issues with the fence.
I don't think the fence is much of an issue, sir.
I think it was not very clear that 6 feet, just quick, 6 feet fence where the variance comes is in the front yard. So it's the only that small area on both fronts where it's in the front, that's where 6 feet is not allowed. And
I'm sorry, the 6-foot fence is in it's a front yard on Tudor. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, we understand that.
In that side.
We understand that. On William Floyd, it's going to be a 4-foot fence.
Yes.
Okay. The parallel parking along William Floyd could be in the rear, in the same spot where if the building was moved closer towards William Floyd. So there's at least 9 or 10 feet here that is available, it seems to me, in terms of expanding and you still have the 2 lanes in the front. It may not lay out exactly the way you like it as well, but I'm sure you can make some other adjustments and work that out. But I'm not sure that, at this point, I'm not sure that 34 feet or 35 feet is going to be sufficient. In any event, Mr. Davis, could you, at the minimally, address not now, but address the issue before you leave with respect to the white fencing in the back?
Absolutely.
Who it belongs to, and I think it would be appropriate if it was somehow completed in terms of all the lots that are back there.
I spoke to my client while the neighbors were speaking. They have it scheduled to be done within the next 2 weeks to complete the white vinyl all the way up and down. So,
okay, but why don't you address that discuss that with the neighbors? Maybe there's some other specific concern that is appropriate to be addressed.
Sure.
So anything further from the board? There being none, can I get a motion to close and hold?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Lindsay, second by Mr. Casey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out.
Thank you.
Their patience, their understanding in terms of the process. And as you can see, some of these issues aren't always easy. So your patience is appreciated.
Thank you.
Case number
Carries. Turning to page 1 of the calendar, number 1, Islamic Center of Mastic Shirley. The chair moves to grant application for a 34-foot rear yard.
Second.
Denied.
Okay, wait a second. Lindsay, second. Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Lindsay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so it's 4 for the motion, 1 against the motion, Mr. Casey, and 1 recusal. With respect to number 2 on the same page, the Islamic Center, with respect to the, as amended, the chair moves to grant as amended, conditioned upon the sign being a monument sign. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lindsay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Recuse. Opposed? Okay, the motion passes 5-0, 1 recusal. Mr. Cunha recusing on both of those applications. Turning to page 2,